Oh, your phone was going off a moment ago. Well, you can try to flip the thing around.
Good.
There you go.
All right, and it's now 6:03 p.m. and I'll call to order our regularly scheduled Fire District Board meeting at 6:03 p.m. First up is roll call of directors.
President Garvin,
Here.
Vice President Smith,
Here.
Secretary Pratt,
Here.
Treasurer Traff,
Here.
and Director Sparrow.
Here.
All are accounted for in here.
Thank you, Chief. Next up, we have pledge of allegiance. And I'll call on Secretary Pratt to lead us.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll just get there for a second.
That's when you've done.
Forget the words.
Yeah. I need
Alright.
Need a prompter.
yeah.
Next up, we have changes to the agenda.
None of no.
And next up, we have consent agenda minutes from our August 22nd regular meeting. In a second to review those, and if there's questions, and if not, we can entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. President, I move we approve them.
All right, we have a motion by Secretary Pratt, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Vice President Smith. Thank you, gentlemen. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously 5-0. Next up, we have our financial report. First up, we have ambulance revenue.
Thank you, Mr. President. So in your packets, you see a color-coded ambulance revenue overview. I just wanted to, I think these are interesting for you guys to see on occasion to show you. So when I talk, periodically about what we bill and what we bring in, I think this by color, because I use a lot of crayons, it kind of more easily depicts the fact that we bill over $12 million a year and we receive only about a little over $3 million a year. We write off almost $8 million in billable calls, predominantly to Medicare and Medicaid. We do collect somewhere around $775,000 a year for GEMT, which is their form of making us whole or closer to whole. But again, just to put it in perspective, the amount that we, and again, just, I'm not complaining or asking for anything. I'm just trying to keep everybody apprised. The amount of money that we collect annually does not even pay for our FTEs on the ambulance, let alone the ambulances, the drugs, the equipment, the fuel, the maintenance, the replacement, and such. So again, I just, for you that might be out in the public and publics may ask, well, we just gave you an extra X amount of dollars and such. If we just had the $9 million in taxable revenue and no ambulance, we'd be sitting at 5 engine companies right now. But again, I'm not asking or complaining. I think it's important that you guys see the amount that we have to subsidize the ambulance service. And in the future, there's a lot of discussions at the state level, local levels, county levels, on what do we do, and I don't think anybody has an answer. But the taxpayers of the McMinnville Fire District are supporting 4.5 ambulances for 450 square miles. And a lot of that revenue, although when we go on calls, of course, we bill for those calls. A lot of that, we average about 26 to 28% in collections. So of $12 million that we bill. So I just thought that's a colorful, if you will, depiction. Any questions on that?
One question would be, I'm guessing there's a good split of other fire districts that service a larger ASA area than their taxing boundary. So is there things that they do to recapture some of that or lessen the subsidy from their tax base, I guess? is the question.
Yeah, so I can't answer that right now, but I will tell you, we are looking at that. That's also one of the things that AP Triton is going to be providing to us. I've already actually had those conversations. That I have asked some questions like, okay, the fire district's taxpayers pay taxes that help subsidize that. Is there an ability to tax outside agencies that we provide ambulance coverage to from like a taxing type of perspective to help bridge that gap between that amount of money so that the citizen of the McMinnville Fire District isn't fronting that total cost for the ambulances and then potentially getting some reimbursement once we go to another jurisdiction and transport, potentially get that back. So that it's a little bit more on a level playing field because the McMinnville Fire District has, quite frankly, has decreased fire response capabilities because of the amount of money that it takes from that general fund money to put into the ambulance to cover that. Now, we get some firefighting resources out of that. Please don't get me wrong. They're dual role in almost all cases, dual role firefighters. So it's not that we don't get any, but we have 1 2-person engine and 4.5 ambulances, 4 of which are dual role. So again, yes, we are looking at that. Yes, I do think, well, actually, I do know that there are 5, I do not know what they are, so don't ask. There are 5 options that AP Triton will be presenting to us in our final document. And I don't know what they are. They just said the other day when we met, there was 5. So
5 like revenue recapture options?
5 ways to operate the ambulance to better operate as well as facilitate revenue in the future, yes.
Any other questions for Chief?
Question would be on fire med and the impact that has on funding and collections.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can get you the actual number because I saw it. We collect like, I want to say just over 100 and some thousand, call it $120,000 a year. I mean, that's not small change, when it comes to revenue. I think anything over $100,000 is a good chunk. So I will say for me, the fire med is positive revenue. There's very little that, I think what your question is, there's very little that we write off secondary to a fire med patient, because remember, just because they have fire med does not mean that we write off the bill. It just means that once we go through every avenue to collect a bill, we don't send them to collections, we write off the remaining. So many times we get what we normally would get anyways, plus we get their amount of 70 or $90 that's in and out of district. So, so I think it's a revenue positive. And I don't think we write off anywhere. Well, I know we don't write off anywhere near that. So it's a positive.
Any other questions for Chief? I have a question that revolves around the revenue left out there with the city of McMinnville and how that's kind of really slid down as far as on our recapture. There's about 400 grand left.
Yep.
It's been kind of getting cut in half each month, it seems almost.
Mhm.
Is that 400 almost to the point that it's going to become uncollectible? Is that what we're expecting, or?
Yeah, absolutely correct. So the 400,000 is what we have remaining for the city's billable calls. Prior to December 31st is what that money comes from. And every month that amount should go down. And yes, to your point, in the very near future, we should get to where we're not collecting much of anything from the city, obviously by design, except for some outstanding collection type of things. But even the collections, meaning physical, like you're in trouble collections, even that amount of money now comes directly, even if the city was collecting on it prior to December 31st, before we took it all over, that actually comes directly to the fire district, even now today. So those will continue to go down, and that 400,000 will continue and will eventually, in the very near future, go away. the 403,912.
How long does it age before it becomes a collection agency issue versus city billing?
Anything, I think I understand your question. Anything prior to December 31st was billed under the city's license. And the city collects on, except for if they go to physical collections. If they go to physical collections, they come under our collections and they would go direct to us. That 400,000 is that money that's left over that the city is collecting. So basically after January 1st, everything after January 1st is billed by and collected by us, as well as if it went to physical collections. Did that answer your question? Did I swing
I
it?
captured that, but you kind of said, my question was how aged can a bill be before it goes to collection?
Oh, how old can it be?
Yeah.
I don't know that answer. I'd have to find it for you.
Thank you. Any other questions around ambulance revenue? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item B, which is our August P&L. I think the page or two up in your packet.
What's that? This is again, same document you got last month. The difference that you'll see is the ending balance of 4.7 versus I think it was a little over 6. That predominantly has to do with the purchases of the engine as well as both ambulances. We've paid for both of those since your last P&L received. So, and I'll talk about the second engine here in a minute, but we're doing well. I'll talk about this in the chief's report, but we are also starting to collect on our conflagrations. Everything's been billed out, and I'll talk about that here in a second. But that revenue is actually starting to come in now as we speak.
All right, any questions around the August P&L? Hearing none, we'll move to item C, conflict report.
Yeah. There it is. Almost had you up, pull this one off, Hunter. There we go. Got it, thank you. So Hunter has been busy over the last several months. And yeah, why don't you give me that one? This one's not pulling up correctly. We have billed out all, is it 8 or 9? Oh, man, it's 9, although one of them is 80 some odd dollars, which was just a conflagration trailer that went out without us. And 8 full conflagrations. We have billed out all of those conflagration resources so to date. So we have paid out in personnel $100,850.19, and in equipment $58,000, almost $59,000, just a couple dollars shy of $59,000. 606 total hours of time. And so far, we've been reimbursed 25,000 of that 159-ish thousand, but a little over $159,000. So pretty close to the 200,000. We did budget 200,000 in overtime for conflagration and about 90,000 in what we believe to be revenue from vehicles. Very close on the vehicles. We're about half-ish of the personnel services. Not an issue because that money was budgeted specifically for conflagration. So there's no money going out if there's not money coming in. So it's same. Anything on that? Any questions on that? Just kind of a quick update that we're spending money, but we're collecting money too. The predominance was brush rigs, command vehicles, both Scott's command vehicle as a task force leader, Chris Mayfield's as an incident management team member, and then either brush 1 and or brush 11 as a part of the task force. So any questions on that?
Hearing none, we'll move on to item D, which is our audit update.
So we have started two different audits. One of them is our annual financial audit, normal every year for government entities. It's scheduled for November 25th. We have also, as discussed in the board meetings before, we're going to do a full payroll audit, which will audit everything since we took over from the city back to July. Is that correct? July of last year?
We can do it.
Yeah, I think we're going to do it to July of 2023 and then all the way through. And that's not per se for to personally find anything, but at the same time, we want to make sure that during that transition, because as we all know, you heard it many times, even before, but after January, the difficulties in the payroll, getting it set up with the payroll company and such. We're going to do that, not just a payroll audit, but we're going to actually do time, vacation, sick leave. We're going to audit the entire payroll. It's a safety net. I think it's a good idea. The union is supportive of it. We work together to kind of come up with this plan. Of course, if we find anything, it'll be corrected. But I think it'll at least give me, I'm only going to speak for myself, but it'll give me a peace of mind that during that very large transition, clunky transition, 6 months with the city, 6 months by ourselves, now a year, or 6 months kind of by ourselves, but not really. And then a year's worth of, or now that we're by ourselves, just to make sure we didn't miss anything. I think it's important from a payroll perspective. I know that's probably what most people see. But for me, it's also important for their time, because time is money at the end of the day. It's what you get cashed out on, or your time, FMLAs and OFLAs and those type of leaves. So I just wanted to let you know we've started all of those. As you see, the payroll, the payroll one, October 1st to the 15th is a projected start time for the company. Questions on that?
All right. Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Anybody on Zoom? Anybody in the crowd, public comment tonight? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to our business action items, and we have one item on there. Item A, approved purchase up to $425,000 for FY25 ambulance, and I'll call on Chief.
So, just when you think you're so close. After the meeting tonight, which you'll see at the end of the agenda, the crews, staff, our mechanic have worked very hard to get now what is affectionately referred to as the sugar cubes, is the new affectionate name for the two new ambulances. So please write that in the minutes. Those are now actually capable of being in service, if I'm correct, Amy. We got the licenses. So just today, I think. Crews have worked very hard on transitioning equipment. Our mechanic has worked extremely hard on upfitting them. We've got the radios in them from Complete Wireless, portables, everything. So they're ready to rock. As early as tonight, if it was necessary for the first one. The second one is done. Basically, we're just waiting for a gurney mount to get here. So kudos to all of them for that. With that said, just as I think we're getting ahead of the curve, just in the last maybe 2 weeks, I think one of them here, you could probably speak of it even better. But on a transfer to Portland, we lost both the left side rear duals off medic unit on the way to Portland, snapped all the lug nuts off. Luckily, we happened to have correct me if I'm wrong, we happened to have another ambulance that was going on a transfer or going on a call. Was at Newburgh Hospital. Okay, was at Newburgh Hospital, which is where they broke down, was able to continue to Walton Valley. I will say kudos publicly to Walton Valley. We did call for their help before we knew our ambulance was going to be available. They did send a medic unit. We ultimately found out that our medic unit was available at Newburgh, so we took the transfer. But my kudos to Walton is not only for that help, but when our battalion chief called up to their battalion chief and said, "Hey, sorry, we were just joking about that," at literally 2 o'clock in the morning. their battalion chief said, hey, I'm still gonna get up and go check on your crew. So I thought that was pretty, it was pretty cool that they were willing to do that. So kudos to them. We were able to complete the transfer just with a different ambulance. Got our medic unit back. Our mechanic was able to fix it fairly quickly. At the same time, while he has the rear end that we lost in the other ambulance pulled out in his shop, had to stop doing that to put this one in service. The point of it is we need, as I told you all, we need one ambulance per year now, even with what we've purchased. The unfortunate part of that is it takes 13 to 16 months to get an ambulance, which is why this is on the agenda. Even if I ordered the ambulance tonight, which we would not have to pay for until next fiscal year, it does two things. One, it does lock our prices in, which is an advantage. But two, I think you can all do math. 13 to 16 months is going to be mid next fiscal year. If we wait longer, I won't, and I order it, call it next fiscal year or close to next fiscal year, it's not going to be here in that, even in the 25, 26 fiscal year. So I'm not a huge proponent of this. In fact, quite frankly, I actually don't even like it. But I don't see any other way unless we, except for to order something now. And, of course, we put it in our budget for next fiscal year to pay for it. If we want something in next fiscal year's budget, which I'm very committed that we have to buy an ambulance every year. The ambulance that we just put on the road in March, I believe, or when did we put it in service? May? Already has over 14,000 miles on it. So we're at 80 to 90,000 miles per vehicle per year. And they just don't last 5 and 10 and 15 years. So that's why it's on. I am looking at other options. I actually did find a demo this week. It's a brand new demo. It is the larger box style, the 172 they call it, which is, I don't know what they're going to call that one, Sugar Cube, Ice Cube. I don't know what the next one will be, but it is the larger box. It is more what the cruise is a little more advantageous for the dual role cruise. For $275,000, it's brand new. It's a demo unit, but we would have to pay for it out of this fiscal year. Right now, with all the stuff we have going on, I'm just really not prepared to make that proposal. There is a potential that one of those might come up in March of this coming year, 25. We could revisit it then, see where we're at budgetarily. Maybe we'll have some cost savings where we could jump on a demo unit then. But I just don't think we can wait until next fiscal year to make the order, not to pay for, but to make the order. Otherwise, we won't get it until the 26, 27 fiscal year is when we would actually take delivery of it. So that's the reason I put it on the agenda. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been a fan of everything I've ever proposed. This I'm not a huge fan of, but I think it's necessary. Otherwise, I just don't see how we can continue. Our medic units won't make it another year and a half, but some of the front line. We're sitting good with the two new. The one that we got in March, I think put in service in May. We have a remount from last July. We've got two that are, again, we just put the rear end in one of them that we stole off of a skeleton ambulance that's out at the drill tower. We stole everything else off that to literally, put the other one back in service. So we're doing really good at robbing and Peter to pay Paul, but at some point we gotta continue, which we've done a very good job at. I'm very proud of where we're at and what we've done. It's just the time frame is what kills us. Normally you'd order it in July of next year and we'd get it, January, February of the same fiscal year, and it's not like that anymore. So.
Questions for Chief around the proposed ambulance?
I've got a question.
Yep.
Actually, a couple questions. So the first one, do we have to front any of the money? I'm sure there's some sort of down payment. Is that correct?
There is no down payment.
Nothing. Okay. And is this going to be a medic unit that we plan on also having air packs on, or is this going to be strictly for paramedic single roles?
No, we have enough of those ambulances now. This will be a dual role, what they call a 172 box, the larger style box that would be a dual role style air pack type of ambulance.
Okay, thank you, chief.
One other note to his point, there isn't a payment. It does lock our price in. The only thing it does not lock in is the chassis cost that could go up. The price of the ambulance cannot go up. The chassis could go up 2 to 3%, which was a couple $1,000, not anything to worry about. And they did go back historically to confirm that is the trend, and that they're not even budgeting in their own budgets for increase in chassis costs for them to buy, other than the 2 to 3% normal. This also would include the reason that the ambulances, if you look, I mean, I have multiple companies here. I've done plenty of homework. The ambulances are 355-ish. Well, where the heck did you come up with? This one is 390. I have anyways, you get 328. The gurney system that we use is a $60,000 addition. So that's why I asked for the 425 mark. I know it will be less than that, because I think you all know me. I will get it for less. But that's just to make sure that we do capture that, the equipment that's needed. We did budget for the radios, all that stuff won't be an issue. But I want to make sure we capture those types of things that we learned from this one. So that's why slightly higher than if you Googled how much is an ambulance today, you're going to call my bluff. But
Is there something you need from us this evening?
I would need approval to move forward with the purchase of the ambulance, because it would be a purchase of the ambulance. We would pay for it out of next fiscal year, but we would enter into a contract to build an ambulance for 13 to 16 months from now.
A couple questions, if nobody else has any right now. What, is it on a van chassis again, or is it going to the truck chassis, or?
That would be open. We could look at both. I have bids for both. The type 3s at 318 and the type 1s at 355. This one specific, the one I told you about that was 275 demo, it is the F series. I have prices for both. If you look here, both the 328 and the 357, I've priced them both. So I would more talk to the crews on their desires. We're all in E series right now, correct? Yeah. But I'm open to what fits their needs.
And then the second question would be, if we entered into a contract, what happens with that if that March demo came up and we were in a position to move forward with that? If
That's a great
everything
question.
else came.
That's a great question. I will confirm the answer, but I remember from last time when we talked about, as long as it hadn't gone to build yet, we could get out of the contract. If it had gone to build, which by the way, it wouldn't have by that time. But I could confirm those before I did anything. And I don't plan on doing something tomorrow. I'm going to do more budgetary research and make sure we get the best bang for our buck and the needs, and talk to the crews and such. But I do know that last time when we had this, as long as it hadn't gone to build yet, we could get out of it.
My question for Michelle would be then, our motion tonight, are we making an authorization to spend money out of fiscal year 25-26 budget, which then would capture this demo, or do we need to word it a certain way to potentially capture a March demo? Or do we just bring that back at a future board meeting if we want to move forward on a March demo?
I think we would bring it back if we want to go forward with with a March demo. Since there is no budget for 25-26, I think that's the catch here. So I think the authorization is to approve, like it's on the agenda here, up to $425,000.
Oh, yeah. With payment to be made at delivery.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions for Chief?
Sounds like a good plan.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase up to $425,000 for fiscal year 25 ambulance to be made, payment to be made at delivery.
I'll make that motion, 425 fiscal year 25. Up to 425.
Yep.
So moved.
I have a motion by Vice President Smith, and I'll entertain a second. Second by Treasurer Trapp. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes unanimously 5-0. That takes us to our other business, our board committee and liaison reports. First up, we have LoSAP, and I'll call on Treasurer Trapp. Do you have anything new to share, or just status quo?
Yep, status quo. We had interest on our balance of roughly $2,300. Payments out were roughly $2,900. So we're still at that just slim margin going out more than we're making in interest. But our balance as of today is $926,559 and some change.
Okay, thank you. And next up, we have branding and Director Sparrow or Assistant Chief Darden.
Yes, things continue to move forward, to still the temporary signs out. And there's a painting phase of the permanent signs. So those are moving along. Got the flag flying. And Chief Darby's got a couple updates for vehicles.
Thanks, Mr. Sparrow. So first phase of generally all our heavy assets are marked. That wasn't done until the dimension showed up. So we have Shale sign, they're doing them on it right now for our general first phase load, which would be the driver's doors and the rear compartment doors. I say first phase because we're going to save the rear roll doors to do all that at once. That'll be both dimensions, the truck, engine one, and the squad. So we're going to save that till the end. Trying to kind of phase this just to be fiscally responsible. It's not cheap. So we're doing a phased approach. We just got our first, I have some photos here, just to add a few, just to kind of give you guys a little preview. We just finished marking our first ambulance outside of the sugar cubes. Sugar cubes came far from cubes. We tried something a little different. We ended up increasing the size of fire district. And I think something I'd like to stick with moving forward. I'm sorry, the assets included graduate to our mechanics grade. Ironically, Shane sign had done his logo for Stern repair before, so he was familiar with the grade. So we're shooting for next week. Adam from Shane Signs have been really great to work with. You guys don't know, he's off Lafayette. He took this project on top of his normal workload, so he's been coming in evenings after work, and it's actually worked out really well, especially with some of our slower call volumes with ambulance support out. So he's not in the middle of a sticker project, having a call right from there. So 111 is done, which is our vehicle consent. Right, next week, we're going to do the new engine, and then our second medic unit, which is 101. So we're getting there. Here's Brad's grade. So we increased, so historically, if you guys remember, fire and rescue was always a little smaller. We decided to bump it up. Some of that came because the eye off district looked really weird when it was smaller. So we decided to go that route. I actually was in the Bay the other day, and I just thought this was a really cool photo. I thought I'd share it with you guys. Just showing all the rigs there, all lined up, looking good, ready to go. So, and then the next phase of branding, one of the things we are looking at, I'm shooting to do a full branding week in November. We really want to take a hard look at our badges. As you guys know, our badges still say fire department. So kind of everything's on the table. We'll bring it to the committee, stay with same style of badge, colors, logos, all that stuff, so, more to come on that, shoot for early November meeting. And then, yeah, signs, like, Director Scarrow mentioned, I've been all over the sign company, they're working diligently, it's very intricate, they're carving composite material and they have to paint in sections, so it's gonna look really good, so. And that's also the sign at Station 12 too. So, that's what I have for Randy right now, and I'll entertain any questions.
So your badges show city of McMinnville on them?
Sorry,
Your badges show city of McMinnville
it still says McMinnville Fire Department.
Department, okay.
Any other branding questions? Hearing none, board information reports? Any board members? All right, that'll take us to information only items. First up, we got local 3099 for department reports.
I just have two quick things. So our softball tournament was again a big success. It's grown from last year to this year. We had 9 total teams playing. I think we got all the other departments B teams because McMinnville ended up winning the whole thing. So, but everybody had fun. It was a good time, and really appreciate those that showed up and supported us. We raised $2,500 for MDA Fill the Boot, so that money has been donated with that, and we have the promise of several more teams next year. So we're looking at maybe expanding to a 2-day tournament next year. We had some great food trucks. If I could remember all the names, I'd shout them out here, but we had some really good showings on that. The other thing is we're coming into Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we will be doing our breast cancer awareness shirts again. If anybody's interested, feel free to reach out. It's $25 for short sleeve, $30 for long sleeve, and $50 for quarter zip sweatshirts. All those
I think
and we can still do it. Okay, thanks. Let me know if you guys want any of those. All the proceeds for that go to the local nonprofit whose name I'm gonna forget now. With Courage, thank you. So with Courage for local breast cancer supporting group, we've supported them for the last 5 or 6 years now with this program. So those are the 2 things I got. Anybody have any questions? All right.
Thank you. Next up, we have the Volunteer Firefighter Association. President Goodman.
Hello, everybody. So this month, we had one event volunteers went to, was the See You Later Foundation's Champions Run. We take the truck there and we fly the flag over the finish line for the duration of the race. That was September 14th. And coming up October 13th is our annual fundraising pancake breakfast from 7 to noon. You're all invited to that. Come up and cook pancakes if you like, or just come eat. And that's all I got.
Thank you. Any questions for President Goodman? Thanks for joining us, Pete. And next up, we got Chief's report. First up, AP Triton.
AP Triton is moving rocket fast now, which is kind of exciting to see. We're probably more than 60% completed. We have our on-site visits, which you will all be part of next month in October. It is the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, mostly Wednesday, Thursday of the week of your board meeting. Thursday night, they will do a short presentation at the board meeting, as well as answer any questions. There will be the community meeting the night before, 5:30 to 7 p.m. And then the Volunteer Association meeting from 7 p.m. to 9 or whenever we're done. That is to collect input on what the community, what the district wants to see in the fire district moving forward. The career staff will be, I believe it's Wednesday. Did I miss that one? Wednesday. Will be at their staff meeting for all career employees and officers. Same type of scenario. What do you want to see? How do you want to see the direction of the organization go? And then they'll have all the documentation that they need then to move forward to a final report. They have all the statistical data completed. They have all the financial data completed. They have all the EMS and fire data completed. Staff worked very hard over the last month and a half, a little bit more, to track down, and in some cases, go around to get the data needed. We met 2 days ago for our status meeting. And they said we have a very large document, which is good. I think that's important as a new fire district. I would hope it to be bigger than, your regular, just kind of updated directional report. So October, hopefully you can all make the board meeting that night. And then November, end of November, just after Thanksgiving is when we'll get the final draft, final rough draft to review. And then the final draft will come out after Christmas. And then it will be presented at your January board meeting. So that's the update on AP trade. Any questions on that? Ziply update, well, that's about enough because that's about all the update there is. We're still waiting on phones. I think we're on version 5.
Simply has been a challenge. So we're waiting on one component, supposedly it just shipped. It was on intergalactic backward for our paging system. So we've had the techs out multiple times trying to integrate the McMinnville system into our existing paging system, which as you guys can heavily rely on. So they have their super techs out and they weren't able to figure it out. So supposedly the new part just came in. We're hoping to hear some answers, but we've been, the chief and I have done all the work to make this happen as soon as we can, but it's a challenge.
Hopefully October. We did get approval for our .gov licensure. .gov, there's a couple reasons behind that. I know everybody's like, great, cool. I just memorized my other email address. I'm gonna get a new one. Well, good news, bad news. That's true. You have to remember the new one. The good news is they'll forward your old ones to your new one, so you won't know any different. But there's several reasons behind it. One of them is a security reason. The .gov is a more secure platform. The second reason is many of the security grants that you can get at the federal level, you have to be a .gov organization. If you're not a .gov, you're not vetted in .gov, you can't even apply for the grants. So we have received it. We are moving forward. We will send an email to your old email address telling you that your new email address is exactly the same, but .gov. Like I said, though, indefinitely your .org, thank you, email address will be forwarded to your .gov. The only difference is when you reply back to the individual, it will come from your .gov account. You won't be able to send from your .org. So our website will be updated. Again, the website will be pushed to .gov. So even if someone goes to McMinnvilleFireDistrict.org, it will push them to McMinnvilleFireDistrict.gov. So there's not going to be, from a user perspective, other than a couple business cards out there or something, it's not going to be a huge deal, just more of a pain. Chief Law, you want to talk about the volunteer recruitment? The officer test?
Sure. So we've with Lieutenant Wallace retiring and Captain Goodman from up to Captain, we did a spot to fill our line for our volunteer officers. We did a promotional exam on Tuesday evening and tallied those results. And I'm going to just ask that we keep those secret and not discuss it here because the individuals are not informed of the results, but we plan on doing a promotional ceremony at our business meeting next Wednesday. And I haven't had a chance to reach both the candidates yet, so.
Process went well and candidates did very well, so. Very quickly, incident management team, the McMinnville Fire District and the city of McMinnville have jointly agreed to put together 2 type 3 incident management teams. The intent behind that is the ability to run 24-hour operations amongst the 2 of us if we needed to, and or back each other up in the event that we needed to. So we are doing it in a phased approach. We're doing it very slow and sure, if you will. Our first phase was just buy off. Is this something that the 2 entities want to do? Neither entity could do this themselves. That was recognized. And the answer to that question was yes. So the second phase that we're in now is the identification of who those candidates could be or would be, to check to see if they're interested, and then start the basic training, your ICS is 100, 200, 700, 800, and such. Once that's completed, we will move on to the ICS 300, 400, which is in-person classes, as well as what we call the position-specific classes, your operations section chief classes and such. The intent behind that is to have all that completed by the air show of next year and jointly manage the 3 to 4 days of the air show as a type 3 incident management team. That will get us our buy off, our understanding, what it would look like, how we could work together and such. If all 3 of those phases are positive and we think we can continue with it, then we will enter into some type of an agreement where we agree to share resources when applicable and when able. With the bumpers on, I report to the fire district, they report to the city manager, but we would jointly come together to manage a major incident or storm or such. We would then formally then put it together and then we would agree to, annual trainings that would be required to be attended to keep our training up and those type of things. We're a ways from that, and we're doing it in steps because there is no harm, no foul. If phase 2, it doesn't work, we got ICS 100 and 700 out of the way. Again, phase 3, the position specific, we're out nothing. The district should be doing it anyways. We'll host a lot of the classes. So it's really not till after we come together after the air show of, this is something that we want to kind of come together on. After COVID and after some of the major events that we've had in the past, I think it's important that Yamhill County is able to stand up and manage during those crises for short and long-term periods of time. So the drivers are myself, the police chief, and the public works director, as well as the city's part-time emergency manager. So those are the 4 that meet together. I did get an update 2 days ago. Our second engine should be completed and en route here on October 14th. So a couple more weeks and we should be starting to see our second new engine. And a reminder from last meeting, if anybody would like to attend OFDDA November 5th through the 7th, I totally made that up, but I think I'm close. Dang it. Close. 7th through the 9th. Please let me know tonight or tomorrow at the latest, because we need to book our rooms, or not our rooms, excuse me. We need to book the conference so that we stay under the early bird registration, saves us money. If we get more than just a couple, my intention is to rent a house. And I do have a line on a house that would save us money because we wouldn't have to have 2 or 3 or 4 rooms. I think at 2 rooms, it's cost effective to have just hotel rooms. After that, it's more cost effective to rent a house. So if anybody's interested, please let me know tonight after the meeting or at the latest tomorrow. End of report, sir. Unless there's questions.
Any questions for Chief around those reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to item B, which is correspondence. Any board members get any correspondence between now and our last meeting? Hearing none, that'll move us to our informational items. As President Goodwin spoke to, we got our pancake breakfast October 13th, which is a Sunday from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. I believe setups around 5:30 if you're an early bird, and cleanup runs till about 1:30 or 2. not asking you guys to be there for the whole time, but if you're around town, it'd be nice to have a strong board presence there. And item 2 is our new engine and sugar cubes are set up and available for tour.
Yeah, out at the old fuel pumps, if you guys want to go out afterwards, we'll head out with you. And both ambulances are stocked. Correct me if I'm wrong. Both ambulances are stocked. So kind of give you an idea. I've heard very positive things about the layouts, if you will. And then the new engines out there. So feel free to jump out and take a look. And $25 to the person who can get in it and put it in gear and drive it 10 feet. Even Scott couldn't figure it out.
The sugar cube or the engine?
The engine.
How to do that?
Okay, you're out then. Yeah. That's all I have.
So item D is our next meeting, Thursday, October 24th, 2024 at 6 p.m. As a reminder, as the chief spoke to, Aiken Triton will be in town soon, so probably block out a little bit of time on Wednesday as well for their end town visit. And with that, I'll adjourn tonight's meeting at 6:54 p.m.
Thank you all.
Repeat the next.